I'm honored to go after such exciting and interesting, innovative presentations that preceded me. I am David Jalajel from the Sultan Bin Abdulaziz International Prize for Water, and I'm presenting this on behalf of Dr. Abdelmalek Al-Sheikh. He is the General Secretary of the prize, and he's head of all of our water harvesting projects in Saudi Arabia. We're an NGO, we're non-governmental, and we are doing this on our own initiative. The prize also sponsors a dedicated research chair in water harvesting and groundwater recharge. The professor of the chair is Dr. Zakai Shen, who was one of the major players in the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, the IPCC, that took place in 2007. And one of the goals of the PSIPW Research Chair is to determine how to respond to the uncertainties caused by climate change when planning and developing a structure for water harvesting and groundwater recharge. What we see here is the IPCC prediction of changes in precipitation from 1990 up to 2060. This, of course, is only a prediction. It can only guide us in our plans. Things may be different. What we know for certain is that climate change means disruption. We suspect some places will become drier, some will become wetter. We suspect that rain will happen in a shorter period of time with greater intensity. And we never know for sure, actually, what is going to happen in any given place, because there's so many variables. We can actually predict changes in temperature better than we can predict changes in precipitation, because with changed temperature, you have changed weather patterns. And there's a lot of unpredictable variables, and it's very difficult to actually make those predictions. When you look at Saudi Arabia, this is what is predicted. Most of the country will have reduced climate change. Dark brown is actually 100% less. And you can see it go up to 900 times more in some of the areas. The areas that are experiencing, we expect will experience more rainfall in the Arabian Peninsula is the southwest and the eastern central region, where the rest of the country we expect will have reduced rainfall. And of course, it may not actually turn out like this, but what we do believe is over the next 25 years, the central region will have up to 25% more rainfall than it has right now. Now, increased rainfall means increased flooding. And that is why all of our water harvesting projects that we are doing in Saudi Arabia have a double goal: to harvest rainwater and also to prevent flooding disasters. And we have the King Fahd Water Harvesting and Storage Project, the Prince Sultan Project for the rehabilitation of villages and hamlets, and the Riyadh Flood Control Project. All of these projects have flood control aspects as well as water harvesting aspects. And what do we know for certain, though? We do know some things for certain. We do know that rainfall will be sporadic, as it always has been. It's intermittent. It will come suddenly for very short, intensive periods of time. And as you see on the graph to the right, you can see that the time frame the rain comes in and the amount of rain you get are very sharply disproportionate. We sometimes, in some areas, will get all the rain for the year. It may look like an impressive amount of rain for a desert. It may actually happen within a 3 or 4 day period. And that's all the rain they're going to see. And this makes rainwater harvesting very important, because you're getting the water is coming to your locality, but for a very short time, flooding and filling with the wadis, which are like dry river valleys, and then it's gone. If you cannot find a way to retain the water, you lose it. If you find a way to keep it, you have enough water. And so one thing we've learned in dealing with climate change uncertainty is we have to utilize existing infrastructure. Whatever the infrastructure the country has on a national level, we have to find ways of utilizing it. So when we find that rainfall is increasing or decreasing, we can find technologies we can put in place in existing infrastructure and in infrastructure that we know is being planned so that we can respond to local conditions. And we find that the combination of rainwater harvesting and groundwater recharge is a very effective and promising way of dealing with it, harvesting water, by basically taking the water and putting it into the water table. One important thing about this is that it can be used to respond to increased rainfall in areas and in decreased rainfall. The difference in technology is slight. There are slight ways we respond to increased rainfall and we respond to decreased rainfall, but recharge can be done under both conditions. In areas with increased rainfall, recharge pipes can be installed behind large dams. These pipes eliminate the evaporation process from dam lakes. So these are hot, dry areas with very low humidity. If you have the water behind the dam, it will evaporate. The best way to preserve that water and to keep it is just to put it in the ground. You don't have to build storage tanks, no technology needed except these pipes. These pipes will bring the water straight into the water table where it will stay and will fill up wells. When people look at the well water, what do we see? We see that the well water levels sometimes double or triple in the areas downstream from the dam. And they are much less saline. The water is purer and cleaner. The effects can last up to more than 6 months after the rainy season. So we get, most of the areas we get rain in April or May. We find that up to 6 months later, the well water in the farmlands downstream of the dam are still having elevated water levels and low salinity. This is of course a picture of what it looks like when the water is in the dam. Now what do we do when we have decreased rainfall? Decreased rainfall requires a slightly different response. In areas with decreased rainfall, we use smaller retardation dams for groundwater recharge. These areas are not going to have much large infrastructure in place already. But we don't have to build heavy infrastructure. Some of these dams can be as little as 2 meters in height. You can still put recharge pipes behind them and bring the reduced amount of water when it does come into the water table and save that water as well. So as I was saying, groundwater recharge can be combined with infrastructure and with creating modest infrastructure. Whether you're looking at increased rainfall in the area or decreased rainfall, you can still respond with a plan for groundwater recharge. That doesn't mean we don't look at direct use of harvested rainfall as well. That also can serve a purpose in dealing with water harvesting under uncertain conditions. One thing we have is artificial ponds. This is where we divert water from the wadis to a suitable location based on topological data that we have, often from satellite data. We build these ponds. They're usually about 6 to 10 meters in depth. A diversion structure should be of sufficient height across the wadi channel to form a stilling basin behind it. What the stilling basin does is it lets the water settle and allows sediments to come out of the water before the water actually enters the pond. So you don't want the sediments to build up in the pond. You just want the water to go in there. And you can see the stilling basin would be right before where the water actually goes into the pond. This is what a pond looks like when it's empty. Our organization has constructed 2 ponds already of 300 by 100 and 9 meters in depth. And this is what the pond looks like when it's full. Diverted rainwater in the pond, this was right after the rainy season in about April of the year. The pond was still full about 7 or 8 months later. And that's not just dealing with evaporation, that's dealing with heavy use from the local farming communities. They were taking the water out of it, and they found that the water supply was 7 or 8 months. Water which would have been completely lost otherwise was able to sustain these farming communities in the Riyadh area because of these 2 ponds. So it does help. And as we know, we have the dam projects you've seen earlier for the large pipes behind dams. We have installed those projects behind 19 dams in the central area of Saudi Arabia already. So we are actually building these. And of course, the private sector can get involved. We hope they will. This is not done by public money, but of course it's done with cooperation with the local municipal governments. It is done by our NGO's own resources. And finally, with direct water rainfall, we cannot ignore simple, low-technology solutions. These are solutions that can be employed with the local communities. These include terracing and other methods that allow for rainfall to be captured in the farming areas, around the trees, around the crops, so the hard-baked soil, it doesn't dissipate in the hard-baked soil. You educate people with new technologies and techniques that you have like this, as well as the techniques they're already using. By educating people and empowering them, the communities themselves will control these projects, and they will retain a sufficient amount of rainwater to make their own agricultural activities more sustainable, allowing them to stay in their communities and not abandon their agriculture efforts and come to the cities, increasing other problems. And this is what we're trying to do. We're trying to keep the agricultural communities viable. And so to conclude, to respond to uncertainties caused by climate change, it is crucial to develop general water management infrastructure across the country. Because as we know, things are uncertain. You don't know what's going to happen in the country, but developing the infrastructure everywhere is a good way to ensure that you will have it where you need it. Then use existing infrastructure for water harvesting. And then you can combine water harvesting with groundwater recharge. Is a great way when you have dams in place to store the groundwater in a cost-effective and simple way, and natural way actually. Then mobilize local communities, develop and maintain small-scale direct-use water harvesting projects wherever they actually are. And I thank you very much. Conclude, I want to share with you a film we have of our prize, because we are a water prize, and we reward innovative technological solutions in water, in surface water, groundwater, alternative water resources, and water management and protection. That is our main emphasis, and I wish to share with you our award ceremony that took place in 2016 at the UN headquarters in New York. Thank you very much.
The Prince Sultan Bin Abdulaziz International Prize for Water is an internationally renowned scientific award. Established in 2002 by His Royal Highness the Crown Prince Sultan Bin Abdulaziz, the prize recognizes innovative research aimed at finding solutions to today's global water-related challenges. The prize is a non-profit international non-governmental organization headquartered at King Saud University in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. It has special consultative status with the UN Economic and Social Council and permanent observer status with the UN Committee on the Peaceful Uses of Outer Space.
United Nations Sustainable Development Goal number 6, the issue of addressing access to water, is very crucial. And what we are doing here today and what today's prize winners have achieved will help advance these goals and will promote the efficient and effective use of water and water resources throughout the world and for all people in various places of the continent.
نحتفل اليوم بتسليم الفائزين جائزة الأمير سلطان بن عبد العزيز العالمية للمياه أن يستشعر الأزمة المائية التي لا تقل خطراً عن الأزمة المالية، وإننا في الجائزة ندعو إلى قمة مائية على غرار القمم الاقتصادية، إذ لو أمكن الصبر على المعاناة الاقتصادية وتجاوزها لما أمكن الصبر على الحياة إذا عزت المياه. وفي الختام ينبغي أن أنوه بالجهود الدائبة الصادقة في قطاع المياه لحكومة المملكة العربية السعودية التي توليه جل رعايتها وعظيم اهتمامها بقيادة سيدي خادم الحرمين الشريفين حتى أضحت المملكة.
His Royal Highness Saudi Crown Prince Sultan Bin Abdulaziz established his International Prize for Water back in 2002. He realized that water scarcity was a growing problem, and every ounce of scientific ingenuity was going to be needed to prevent a global water crisis.
I commend His Royal Highness for his efforts to advance Sustainable Development Goal 6 on water and sanitation, and valuable support he has given to innovation on water since 2002.
In 2016, the 7th award ceremony was held at the United Nations in New York City to honor 8 researchers. The Creativity Prize was awarded to the team of Dr. Rita Caldwell and Dr. Shafiq al-Islam for developing a technique that uses chlorophyll information from satellite data to accurately predict cholera outbreaks up to 6 months in advance. The Creativity Prize was awarded to Dr. Peter J. Webster for a new process that evaluates changes in atmospheric and ocean pressure to give populated coastal regions a critical 1 to 2 week lead time forecast of monsoonal floods. The Surface Water Prize was awarded to Dr. Gary Parker for advances in the scientific understanding of meandering rivers, the shapes they take, and how they change themselves and their floodplains as they migrate. The Groundwater Prize was awarded to Dr. Tissa H. Ilyangaskera for the reliable, long-term prediction of pollutants in groundwater systems by modeling fluid flow and chemical transport in porous media. The Alternative Water Resources Prize was awarded to Dr. Rong Wang and Dr. Anthony G. Fain for the development and application of novel forward osmosis hollow fiber membranes, incorporating a previously undiscovered positively charged nanofiltration-like outer selective layer that significantly reduces the energy needed for water treatment by membrane processes. The Water Management and Protection Prize was awarded to Dr. Daniel P. Lux for developing and implementing the systems approach to water resources management, an effective, dynamic, and successful framework to address practical water management problems worldwide. The Prince Sultan Bin Abdulaziz International Prize for Water was proud to honor the service of UN Secretary-General Ban Ki-moon and his commitment to solving the world's water issues with a commemorative gift.
Round of applause for our speakers. Thank you.